Hey guys, Kevin Gismar for the series premiere of Life in Pieces, the new show that just premiered on CBS. Now, this was a show that I was actually really looking forward to because I remember I saw the promo and I thought it was a really cool, it looked like a really interesting, family sitcom, something that actually hasn't been, tackled before. My only fear really was that it was going to be like Modern Family, but I started to hear really good things about it, and I started to get more, I started to get more interested in seeing what it was all about, and I checked out the first episode, watched it over Squish It Brothers so I could review it to you guys, and after watching the first episode, I have to say, I love this show. I really loved Life in Pieces. I think it's going to end up being one of the best new shows of the fall. I think it's definitely going to get renewed for a second season, and I really have no complaints with it whatsoever. I think this entire show is great, and I really love it so far, and I really don't have any complaints about it. It's probably the only pilot I've reviewed so far for the fall that I have no complaints with whatsoever. Because Supergirl, I did have that one complaint, but this is definitely one of the best. I think this is definitely going to be one of the best new fall shows, and especially for comedies, I really feel that this is now a big competition to other comedies, because I don't know if they're going to be as funny as this was, and I was surprised by how funny the show is. Now, the premise of the show I really do like, because it's not like other shows you've seen. Because you know how other shows are like, there's 4 different storylines. Well, in this, they do that, but they only do it as little 5-minute skits for each of them. So we see what's going on with each of the family members in this family. And I'm going to go in order of the 4 stories that were told tonight. And I'm going to talk about the one I like the most, the one I like the least. And yeah, so let's get into it. So the first one that we were introduced to we met the characters of Colleen and Matt. Basically, Colleen is dating Matt. They just went on a first date. She plans on taking him to his apartment. Problem is, her ex-boyfriend is still living at, ex-fiance is still living at her apartment, who still feels that, by the way, is played by, Jordan Peele from Key and what I think that's his name, something like Jordan Peele from Key and Peele. He of course is great. He's very funny on this show. But basically he thinks that he can win her back, so that's why he's there. But she can't get rid of him because she doesn't have the rent to pay for him. She can't get him out of the lease, and she doesn't have the money to get him out. So he basically is forced to live there, so it becomes a very awkward situation for both of them. And they end up having to go to his parents' house, but his parents are being very awkward. They're really embarrassing him. So they end up having to have sex in a car, and that's basically how that storyline ended. And I thought that was pretty funny overall. I thought both of them worked really, really well, and I definitely really liked, that story. I thought it was very good. It was very short, though. I will talk about this, definitely. They're all, like, only 5 minutes. The second one we got introduced was the story of Greg and Jen. They have just had a baby. Jen has just had a baby. And she can't have sex because her vagina is all infected and stuff because of her having the baby. And this one was okay. I think it was my least favorite of the 4, definitely. But I still did really enjoy it. You do get some very fun stuff from them, and I definitely like seeing that one. My favorite, however, was the third sketch. Oh my god, the third sketch. Not only because the one that I can relate to the most, but also because it was just everything worked in this one. It was also the longest of the 4. It seemed like it was longer than the other 3 were, but I really enjoyed the one that we got. Basically, the one that I liked the most focused on Heather and Tim and their kids. They're bringing their oldest son to a college tour, and Heather feels as if she's starting to lose her kids. Her other daughter just had her first period, and then the other daughter just found out that Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny and, like, Cupid and things like that aren't real. So she really feels like she's losing her kids. She wants to have another baby, but Tim ends up fucking up when he ends up calling her old, and it's as funny as you can imagine. And I thought that was the funniest skit by far. They're also, of course, embarrassing their son. She doesn't want to let their son go, and I very much really loved that one. And then the fourth one is when they tied them all together, when we met the character. Well, we already knew the characters of Joan and John, but if you've seen, the promo, that's the fake funeral. The one where John pretends that he's dead, and he's not, for his birthday party, and his 75th birthday. And this actually ends up scaring Joan. You know, she realizes how fucked up this actually is and how, you know, ridiculous this is, definitely, and she does not want to support him at all, and actually ends up having a lot of heart to it. And those are basically the 4 stories that we end up getting. And in the 4th story, all of the stories we've seen do come together, and I definitely really like seeing that. So, briefly, those are all the 4 stories that we get, and I'm going to talk about really what I did love. If you can't tell, this entire cast is great. I didn't find a single person in this cast I didn't like. I think they are all great. Really, I think they all give really great performances. They're all very, very funny. Definitely, and they feel like a real family. Something I loved about this is that all the comedy that we have in this is all stuff that could happen, and I think they're all pretty much very relatable. I mean, even though it's not the way the situation might have played out, it might have played out very differently, because this is supposed to be a dysfunctional family, and this is definitely the definition of a dysfunctional family. I mean, they definitely are not your normal family, but, what I really do like about it is the way that they're told. They're all pretty realistic stories. I mean, I think everyone has gone through a first date, that awkward first date. Everyone's gone, well, me personally, I haven't, of course. Everyone's gone through that birth they've had with their wife. Everyone's gone through sending their son off to college, and then everyone's gone through that period in their life where they don't know what's left and that they might die, and I thought it was definitely very interesting. And this show has a lot of heart to it as well, definitely, especially toward the end when John was talking about, you know, the little things, in the little pieces in life. That's what it's all about. It really goes with what the show is trying to say, that, yeah, these are 4 different stories, but they're all supposed to be important milestones in their life, and there are events in their life that we're seeing that are playing out, and it really gets us into their life, and I definitely really like seeing that. I thought they did a very good job with that. They also did a very good job of not making them similar at all. None of these stories seem similar. They all seemed very distinct, and I was very happy about that, because I was worried that some of them were going to be very similar, and they really weren't. I mean, like I said, the reason I loved the college one so much is because it was so different than the other 2 we had gone before. It was much more of a, you know, embarrassing their son, and I definitely really like seeing that. The funniest for me, I have to say, is Dan Backdahl as Tim, who is the son, who is the father of Betsy Brandt, you know, the husband of Betsy Brandt's character. He is so funny. I mean, he was just great. He had so many great one-liners. The way he was embarrassing his son. The scene where he tells his son he lost his virginity to a couch it's as hilarious as you can imagine. And he just does, the thing I love about his character is that he does the most, like, hilarious things at the worst times. Like, all the times he does stuff, it's at the worst time possible. He's embarrassing everyone, and he's very out of touch. It's very funny, and I definitely really like seeing that. And I thought that was definitely very, very funny. They also did a good job of making fun, you know, they also did a good job of showing, okay, this is who their children are, and then this is who they got married to, which I thought was very smart that they did that. Like, you could tell that Greg, Heather, and Matt were their children, and then, you know, the people that they're dating and married to are who we saw, of course. And I thought it was really funny that they didn't really acknowledge him very well. I thought that was definitely very cool to see that, and definitely really enjoyed that as well. But the thing I'm most impressed by in the show is the editing style. Like I said to you guys, this is not like any other comedy I think you guys are going to see, because it's all done in different little sketches. And what I mean by that is when it'll go to commercial, it'll go right to the next story. They're all about 5 minutes long, and my only worry with this is that I am worried that they're not going to be able to tell a very cohesive story in 5 minutes. And I'm completely fine with that if they want to do it in 5 minutes. It's essentially if you were to watch a short film, but it's just a recurring short film, and I think that's really cool they're doing that. I definitely like that, and it really gives us, I think, more thorough stories, because you can't say, oh, they didn't spend enough time on this one, and I really felt all the stories got enough time. Like, I don't feel they could have done more with the first date story, Because at first, when it was 5 minutes long, I was pretty shocked. But then I thought, you know what? I think they did enough with that one. And then when they did the one with the baby, I'm like, okay, I think they did enough with that one. And then of course the one that, like I said, the one in college was perfect. Then the one at the end I really like because it ties everything together. And I really like the way they do that. I hope that they continue doing this. You know, that the last one ties everything together, kind of shows the message of what they're trying to show here. Because while this is a very funny show, there is definitely some part in there that I definitely really appreciate, because you want to connect with these characters, you want to relate to them, you want to really love them, and I really do love the ensemble, I have to say. It was very sweet, and the ending as well, I thought was great. The way it ended was very, very funny, and I definitely really enjoyed the way things ended. I really like the score of the show as well. Like I said, the show definitely has one of the better editing styles I've seen in a long time, definitely. And I highly recommend you guys check out this comedy. Honestly, I think anyone can relate to at least one of the 4 sketches. Again, it might not play out the way they show it, but I think if some of them, you know, they're definitely, most of them are very relatable, and I found myself relating to at least one of them. Of course, the one I related to the most was the you know, mother going to a college thing with her son. I just had a college fair today. I'm a junior, and, you know, I'm gonna have to choose, like, college and things like that next year, because I'll be a senior, and obviously, my mom's, like, a wreck currently, so I can totally relate to that. Again, like, things are a bit over the top, but that's the other thing I did like as well, is that it didn't get, it also doesn't try to be like Modern Family. It's not Modern Family at all. What Modern Family did is show 3 different families that are all connected together. This just showed 4 different stories, and they're not necessarily families. They're just 4 different things that are going on in these characters' lives, and I thought that was definitely very interesting. I thought it was a much more unconventional style, and they did a good job of separating the 2 shows, because you know that the show is definitely going to be compared to Modern Family. Even if they didn't, even if they were trying to not have it compared to, it still was most likely going to be compared to Modern Family. It's just that kind of a show that, you know, when you have a big show like Modern Family that has won over so many people, even if I'm not the hugest fan of it, when you have a show like that that's won over so many people and it's been so successful, obviously people are going to compare it to Modern Family, but I'm happy that they were able to separate this from that, and I hope they continue to do that. But overall, guys, I really love Life in Pieces. I think it's a really great show so far. I think it could be probably one of the funniest comedies of this year. I don't know if there's, there definitely is going to be a comedy that beats this, but this is definitely one of my, I think going to end up being one of my favorite shows of the fall, and I absolutely love it, and I highly recommend you guys check it out, because I really do love it. Obviously, I'll be reviewing this season. I'm not going to review individual episodes. When the season is over, I will definitely be reviewing it. I hope it gets picked up for a season 2, because I think it's a great show. But that's basically my review, the series premiere of Life in Pieces. Hope you guys enjoyed them, and what you guys thought of this episode. And we'll see you guys in my next video, which will be for tonight's episode of Awkward, and I will see you guys for that. Okay, bye.